School is low-key kind of fucking buns, eh? It's like a waste of time. Specifically the homework aspect being one of the main big problems. How many times have you gotten your homework and even if you do it, nothing really stuck from it. You just fucking feel like didn't learn anything.
But teachers are really going to have a fucking meltdown if you don't do it.
Like it's the fucking end of the world or some shit. And other assignments or anything related to that is also a problem. It doesn't really feel like we're being, taught anything. It just feels like we're regurgitating information, especially when it comes to tests. Like how many times after a test, all the studying, if you do study, at all, you just forget about it the next fucking time you come into class or by the next test, right? Like all that information just goes out the window. It just feels like a bunch of busy work we're being forced to do because we're there for what, like 6 hours, 8? I don't know. We're at school for a long time, and they gotta keep us fucking occupied doing some dumb shit. And then even when we get home, we still have to do our fucking homework, right? Or whatever assignments we have to do. Fucking stupid. And it fucking sucks, especially if you really don't understand the lesson at all that was being taught in class, right? It feels like you're lost. You don't really understand what you're doing. And let's be honest, who's going to supplementary lessons or staying after school to actually sit down and learn? Very few people, I would argue. And for the people who do know it, the smart kids in class get it right away. It just feels like they're wasting their time doing shit over and over and over again until we move on to the next lesson, which won't be probably until like next week, right? Or whatever. It just feels like busy work that they have to do for a week until they get to the next part where they're actually learning something new. Meanwhile, for us idiots, we're just kind of stuck here, lost, not really knowing what to do. And then, it's worse if it's the next lesson has to build on top of what we already learned the week prior, right? It never stops. It feels like we're getting more and more lost. And we do all this for a fucking, a grade on a piece of paper that tells you, oh, you're fucking smart because you have an A, or you're fucking stupid because you have a fucking F, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you. In high school, my GPA was like, I guess highish. It was like 3.5. I don't know how high that is. I'm kind of an idiot. But I didn't feel smart at all with a GPA or whatever. I didn't feel like I was smart at all. I felt like I was an idiot. I just knew how to regurgitate information right back at fucking teachers that they were telling me to learn, right? I mean, I can't even tell you anything I learned in my 4 years in high school. And it probably also didn't help that during my late junior to senior year, it was the pandemic. That shit hit, so remote learning was all we had for actually going to class, right? Let's be honest, the teachers didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They were fumbling with their online classes and shit and assignments. They didn't know what to do. Going back to the classroom environment, we weren't really rewarded for thinking outside the box, right? Like I remember in math class, there was this really smart kid. He's a different method to solve a problem that was on the board, right? And the teacher, she wasn't really encouraging him to use that way to solve the problem and more the way she was teaching, right? And that kind of taught me a really like not a good lesson. It like discouraged me from like deciding to think outside the box on anything. Like if I discovered, oh, this is like a cool little way to do this problem more efficiently, it kind of discouraged me from going that way and just learning what we were being taught. So it's pretty bad for innovation and stuff, right? Because you reduce efficiency like that, right? Because it's using a very stagnant method that isn't necessarily the fastest or most efficient way to learn whatever we're doing in class, right? And that's bad for us kids going into like adult life. We won't want to innovate and use new methods that maybe haven't been tested yet to solve problems that aren't all solved one way, right? There are different problems that you can look at through different angles or through outside the box thinking to solve it. But a lot of teachers are still stuck in their stagnant ways of, oh, we've been doing this for a long time, so you have to do it too because, we've been teaching it for 50 years, so why would we change it now? It really fucking sucks. Another really bad part about school is that a lot of kids can't fucking read. Like, it's kind of crazy, like, the rates that kids cannot read. Like, they sure as fucking tell you the next TikTok trend, but they can't read or write or anything like that. And ChatGPT is only worsening that because, kids will just search up the answers and not use their own head to think about what the answer could be or even how to write the answer down. That's pretty bad. But also, the stupid things like the No Child Left Behind Act, which, pushes kids forward when they really should be held back, because they don't understand anything. They don't know how to read at their grade level that they need to if they want to go to work or even college, right? If the worst student is like shown to be just move forward, right, to the next grade, obviously other students are not going to give a shit as well because it's like, well, the worst student who didn't go to class or do his assignments was just moved up. What's the point of us doing it, right? It just shows that there's no point in working hard or really trying at all because we're just going to be moved along conveyor belt to graduation, right? right? And this is really bad. It's really important for kids to want to learn, right? If we don't, then we'll just be complacent and not improve ourselves, especially since we kind of like have to for, as I mentioned earlier, the workplace or college, being able to speak or write or converse with other people is very important. And speaking of college, Jesus Christ, it's even worse in college. I ain't gonna lie. Like, a lot of students that I've seen really don't know what they're doing. It's like I'm watching high schoolers that just kind of were pushed along to go to college. Going to college, it feels like a really big waste of time if you don't really know what you want, right? College or university is useful. I'm not gonna say it's completely useless. If, say, you need a degree in being a lawyer or a doctor, you'd really need that knowledge in order to progress into that career. But if you really don't know what you want, you shouldn't really be pushed to go to college just for the experience or the older generations telling you, oh, it's gonna help you get a job or a high-paying job. It's kind of funny that they never mention the fucking amount of debt you incur onto yourself getting this degree. And if it's not for being, like, as I mentioned earlier, a lawyer or a doctor, it's kind of useless. Like, say you get a fucking degree in theater or fucking women's study, right? Well, what the fuck are you gonna use that for? You might as well have just gone fucking to McDonald's and started working there, because at least you've been making some money and used it for hobbies, or if you have locked down on what you want to do, then pursue that career. But a lot of these degrees aren't gonna help you do shit, and all you get in return is a fucking bunch of debt you have to pay back. I'm not gonna say that school is all negative, right? There are some important things you can learn from school, like reading and writing, obviously, but also things like your critical thinking skills, right? To sit down and think things through and come to your own conclusions. Learning how to do math is also very important. Your addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, all that jazz. It's important. Sure, we use calculators, but it's also important just to be able to do, basic, like 5 times 5, right, like that right off the bat, without having to whip out your calculator every time. It's just like some basic skills that are pretty useful. In relation to technology, I think it's okay for kids to use it, but kids have unrestricted access to the internet, which is the problem, right? Parents don't want to limit what their children are seeing, like to just using it for school instead of just going on the internet to see the most dumbest memes or TikToks, right? A lot of fucking parents don't really want to raise their kids. They just let technology and the internet fucking, raise them for them. And that's horrible, because I've seen it with my own little sister. She was an iPad kid. She was absolutely disrespectful to my mom. I remember back in the day, if I did any of the shit she's done, I would have gotten my ass beat. It's crazy how, I guess, deep off my mom got. Like, what the fuck happened? Like, you were fucking tough on me and my older sister, but what the fuck? With our little sister, you're fucking just letting her walk all over you. Like, she's not fucking sitting down and teaching my little sister how to learn consequences, learn how not to be a brat, learn all these things that she needs to learn. I mean, it's fucking crazy that parents just want to not teach their kids how to be fucking proper human beings, like, at all. And this neglect will obviously affect their attitude in a classroom, right? Because they're going to be fighting with the teacher, like talking smack to them. It's really bad for the teachers as well, who are just trying to do their fucking jobs, right? So that's pretty bad in terms of student behavior. Overall, it just feels like the old way of doing things is still being pushed to this day, right? And instead of teachers or schools adapting to using more efficient methods to teach kids, or a better way to keep kids engaged with the class, like incentives or rewards for doing well, they are locked in a stagnant way of doing things with the education system, which really needs to be rebuilt from the fucking ground up. Back in the day, generally used to mean something when you got a degree and shit. I mean, if you got a degree, you'd get a pretty well paying job, and even if you didn't, you could still get a decently paying job. But this is going into a whole different topic, like the whole into wages and the government kind of fucking everyone over, and the older generation specifically. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just here to talk about school. So yeah, those are my thoughts on kind of the downfall, really, of school in general. What do y'all think? Y'all think the system's working? I mean, I don't think so. Or are you on my side and think, yeah, the education system is pretty buns, a lot of problems? I mean, let me know in the comment section down below. That's all I gotta say. Bye.